Awesome. Okay. Hello, everybody. Today we're talking about projectors. And projectors are just near and dear to my heart because I myself am a projector. And projectors are I would say that they're one of the most sensitive types. And they're very different than a lot of the other types. So if you're a projector, you might feel like you're kind of different than all of your friends, and that's for a reason. So projectors are about 20% of the population. So still a good amount of projectors out there, but grand scheme of things, not that many. And projectors are here to guide. So like I was saying the other day with manifestors, how they're non-energy beings in the sense that they don't have access to consistent, sustainable energy. Same thing goes for projectors. But projectors, unlike manifestors who get these urges, and whatever the urge is, they get the energy that goes with it in order to do the thing. Projectors don't have that. So projectors are very much a non-energy being in the sense that if you feel like you like to sleep a lot, or you get tired, or your friends, when they're doing things that they love, it just seems like they can do it forever and ever and ever. And you kind of look at them like, wait, why can't I do that? Sometimes I feel like I can, and sometimes I don't. And even when I do it for a while, then I get burnt out. And why can't I keep up with all my friends? And it's because you're not meant to. And if you try to live like another type, like a generator or a manifesting generator, who are the types that do have access to the sustainable energy, you will burn yourself out. You will find yourself with health issues or aches and pains that you're unable to explain. I had lower back pain for a year and no doctor. I went to a million doctors and none of them understood why. And it was because I was trying to live in a different way that wasn't helpful for me. So it's really important that projectors understand and get to know what comes really easy to them, because that's the thing they're meant to lean into. So there's lots of conditioning or modeling or things that we've witnessed or heard other people say about how they got to success was that they pushed and they clawed and they worked super hard and they worked all these hours, and that's how you get it. That's how you make it. And that is the worst messaging for a projector. Projectors are meant to lean into the thing that is easy. So if you're sitting here and you're like, I have no idea what comes easy to me, there's two things with that. That looked like four things, but there's two things with that. First thing is start asking your friends and those that know you really well, hey, what is it that looks like comes really easy to me? Or why do people come to you for things? Do they come to you for advice for different things, or they ask you to do stuff all the time? What are those things? So start getting clear on that. And then two, it may be that you can't see it yourself because projectors cannot see themselves clearly. Projectors see others really clearly. Their aura is very penetrating, and so they're able to essentially go into the other person in a very non-creepy way, go into the other person and get to understand them, which is why they do really well one-on-one. And so because they're able to do that, they're unable to turn it into themselves. So if you find that you're but I don't understand myself, or I don't know what comes easy to me, or I know there's something blocking me from getting the thing that I want, but I don't know what it is. That could be because you're a projector and you cannot see yourself. So getting really clear on who are the people in your life that understand you, that know you really well, and that are going to give you the truth, and the truth that is honest and raw, and not necessarily the truth that's going to make you happy. So getting really clear on those people is really important. And then start utilizing them. Start going to them and asking them, what is it that comes easy to me? What are all these things? And that'll be really helpful. So the strategy, strategy is the best way that you interact with the world around you, especially with others, in order to make it in a much more easy and flowy way. The strategy for a projector is waiting for the invitation. And I know all of my projectors out there, struggle with this. So waiting for the invitation essentially looks like, and waiting for the invitation for things that are kind of like relating to like your gifts or your advice or sharing guidance or things like that. Like love falls into that category also. So if you are a guy and you're a projector, like you still need that invitation from the partner on the other side that opens it up for you then to enter into that partnership in a way that's going to be really beneficial to both of you. And that doesn't mean that the other person always has to ask you out. There just has to be some kind of invitation there that kind of opens it up. Like I was talking to somebody and she's a projector, and I forget if her husband, I think is she a projector? I can't remember. Anyway, her husband's a projector, and she had told her husband that I'm ready to get married, or like I can see us getting married or whatever. And that opened up, that was the invitation that he needed in order to then go and propose, and they've been married and have kids and all the things. So it doesn't mean an invitation doesn't have to always be like the other person straight out inviting you, but there has to be something there that then allows it to be them essentially to be open in order to receive whatever the thing is that you're going to share. So that can look like, hey, like, what are your thoughts on what are your thoughts on this? Or do you mind sharing your advice on this? Or what are your thoughts? Or whatever the thing is, it's just having something that will open up the energetics essentially, so that the other person on the other side can then receive it. Because if you're a projector, and if you haven't figured out your type yet, I recommend it. It's fascinating, and we're just scratching the surface with the energy type. So, but if you had shared your thoughts, your opinions, your guidance, your gifts with somebody without them asking or inviting you in, you probably were met with some kind of resistance, whether the person did not take it well, the person got upset with you, the person maybe calls you bossy, pushy, know-it-all, smarty pants, or they just don't hear you. And I've had all of these scenarios happen to me where I've given advice to somebody when they didn't ask it, and then a week later they'll come back and say, oh, so-and-so gave me the best advice, and it was the same thing I had said, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what is happening? Like, I gave you that advice like 2 weeks ago. And they're like, no, you didn't. And then it goes into this whole thing. But that is why it's so important to have that waiting for the invitation. And it can be so difficult for a projector because you see things so clearly, like you can see what's going on with a person so clearly. And you just like want to give them the advice or tell them what to do. But if you do it without them asking or without them inviting you in, then you're going to potentially come up against your not self theme, which is bitterness. And bitterness can look like actual bitterness, resentment. It can look like, you feeling like everybody else is getting it wrong and like what's going on, or why doesn't anybody get me? Or like, why is nobody getting it right? Like there's just so many dynamics to bitterness, but that's your not self theme. And then the signature or the signpost for a projector that's like, hey, you're doing it. For the projector, it's the only one that's actually external. So all the other ones, it's an internal feeling really. So right, with a manifester, it was that feeling of peace. And with a projector, it's success. So when they're living their design, when they're in it, they're like doing all the things, they're waiting for the invitation, and they're living out their authority and all the things, they're going to see success in their life in an external way. And not that none of the other types will find success or anything like that. It's just that the signature for a projector is success. So it's fascinating when you get to see all these things start to play out a bit. But just going back a little bit, and I don't know how long I've been on, and I tend to go long. But if you go back and you you see that projectors are here to guide. We're here to guide others. So what is it that you see so clearly that you probably take for granted, and your friends and family and coworkers probably take it for granted also? Figure out what that thing or things are, and start to lean into them, because that is where you're going to find your flow. That is where you're going to find success. And it's deconditioning from all of the things that we've either told ourselves, heard, seen, whatever, that life is meant to be hard or work is meant to be hard in order to get to wherever I want to go. It has to be long hours. It has to be all of these things. But if we open up to just the possibility that maybe if I leaned into the things that came easy and that I loved and didn't chain myself to that, and the fact that, I tell myself that I have to do it for 10 hours a day, otherwise I'm not going to get there. But just to lean into those gifts and see where they take you, and just like there's no harm in it. And like if they take you to a really great place, then amazing. So there's so much with projectors, and like I said, they're very sensitive. So the more that you can recognize a projector and invite them in and invite them as much as possible for all of the things, the more that they're going to feel supported and like they belong somewhere. I know for me, like I have to be invited like for all of the things. Like if you want to go out to dinner, like with a friend, like my best friend, like I still need that invitation. Otherwise I feel like, oh, like, do you really want to go? Or are you just inviting me because you feel like you're supposed to, or you have to, or whatever. So the more that we can invite projectors, the better, because all they want is to be recognized, especially for the things that come easy to them. But we live in a world where we're kind of told that what comes easy is a hobby. It's the thing that you do on the side. It's not the thing that you make your life work out of. So hopefully that was helpful. I love my projectors out there. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And otherwise, I think we'll go on to generators next and get into all of the special things with generators. I love them deeply. And I wish I was one a lot of times. So anyway, I hope everybody's having a great weekend, and I will talk to you guys soon. Okay?